Again, I don't know how I can just press the record button. Can't press the record button and then I don't ever film what I'm trying to film. So I just did an entire look with this and I didn't record any of it. So let's start over. Hello everyone, so today I have a little review and tutorial of the new Colourpop Spring Collection, the Sweet Talk palette. I have one of the Lux Lips and I have a Super Shock blush. So I'm super excited to get into these today because when I saw this palette, I knew I had to have it. I love corally eyeshadows on the eyes, especially my eyes where they're green. I just feel like it makes my green eyes really, really pop. So coral shadows are like my thing. I absolutely love them. And with the new formulas that they have in this palette with the the Super Shock shadow formula in there and then also some pressed glitters, I'm really excited to see how those work. I absolutely love Colourpop shadows. I think that they're super easy to work with. Personally, they're my go-to. I have a full magnetic palette filled with their pressed powder single shadows. They're just some of the best. And if I sound really nasally throughout this video, it's because my family's super sick. It's passing on to me. So I'm going through a little bit of a cold or something. I don't know. But sorry for sounding all Squidwardy. So without further ado, before we get started, if you guys are new, hey, my name's Liz. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Also ring your guys' bell so you guys are notified for all my future videos. If you want to see a little review and tutorial on the new Colourpop Spring Collection, then just keep watching. Okay, so this is the palette. It's called the Sweet Talk palette, and I just love the packaging on this. It's just so springy and fun and pretty. I love the flowers. You got the shade names on the back and the little metallic rings around them. I just think this palette is absolutely gorgeous. And this is what the actual palette looks like. You got this little woman here that's all grayed out. I just think it's so pretty. I love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's probably my favorite design out of all their palettes. This is just super eye-catching to me, so I absolutely love it. It does retail for $18. So this is what the inside looks like. It's just so springy and fun, and I love it. So you got this shade right here that's side to side. That's supposed to be the Super Shock shadow. I think it's really cool because you don't have to keep them in those little jar things that you have to keep the lid screwed on really tight. So I'm really excited to see how those work. And then you got these two shades right here that are the pressed glitters. So I absolutely love that they've come out with some new formulas for their shadow palettes. I'm just really excited to play with this and see what kind of look I can create. I honestly feel like this would be like an everyday go-to kind of palette for me. So I'm real excited. And then I got this I'm gonna say super every single time. I got this Super Shock blush. This one's in the shade Count Me In. Again, the packaging, absolutely gorgeous. I really love it. And this is the shade. I just thought this was such a pretty, like, mauve-y coral kind of color. I just think it's gorgeous. I'm gonna say gorgeous a billion times in this video too. But so again, Count Me In. These retail for $7. I really like the Super Shock formula because it's not super pigmented. If you want it to really show up, you're gonna have to build it up, but I just like the subtle flushed look to my cheeks. That's just one of my favorites. So I'm really excited to play with this. And then the Lux Lip, mine is in the shade Spring Roll. Obviously, I didn't get every single shade of everything throughout this collection because I certainly don't have money for that. So I only got the shades that I absolutely loved and to try out for you guys. So again, packaging, absolutely gorgeous, love it. And then this is what the Lux Lip looks like, basically just like all their other Lux Lip packaging with the stars on them. It looks the exact same, but then this is the shade that I got. Again, super pretty. I thought this was just a more nudie, springy kind of color rather than some of the bright corals that they came out with. I wanted to get one that I thought that I would get the most use out of, and this one spoke to me, so that's the one I picked up. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in so that we can get started on the eyes. Okay, so I've already put concealer down on my lid, so I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's called Catch Me. I'm just taking this on a Sigma F75. I'm just gonna use this to set that concealer down just to give it a little bit more of a non-sticky base. It does have a little bit of color to it. It's not totally skin color, if that makes sense. And you'll have to excuse all the glitter that's like all over my face right now. Apparently it does not want to come off. Okay, so I'm gonna start out with Work It, and I'm just gonna use this Morphe M535. I'm basically just gonna use this as a transition shade, kind of in my crease, just that first shade that we're gonna put down. And then with a little bit of a smaller brush, this is a Morphe M505, I'm gonna go into Dream Maker, and I'm just gonna put this basically everywhere that I put Work It. I have noticed that this shade does kick up a bit of powder, so just keep that one in mind. Work It didn't pick up a whole lot of powder at all, but Dream Maker is pretty powdery. So I'm just gonna start working this in my crease. I don't want to totally cover up Work It, but I just kind of want it to be in the background, if that makes sense, just kind of peeking through. And I am bringing this from inner corner to outer corner because I am gonna do a halo eye with this look. And then I'm going to take Meadow. This shade is the shade that like sold me on this palette. I just love this corally shade. It just really popped out, spoke to me. So I'm going to take that on a Morphe M433. And I'm just going to start working this in the inner and outer corners. And then just kind of connecting it over top. And then I'm going to go into the shade ICYMI. I have no idea what that stands for, but I'm going to take that on a Luxie 237. It's just a really small blending brush, and I'm going to start placing this on the inner corners and outer corners just to deepen these up a little bit. And then after each step, I always take my big blending brush just to diffuse everything, make sure there are no harsh lines. And then I'm gonna go in with the shade Feel Free. It's just the darkest shade in the palette. I'm taking a Luxie 221 flat definer brush. The shade also does have a bit of kickback that comes up when you put your brush into it, just powder that you have to like blow away. And then I tapped off the excess to make sure that I don't get a ton of fallout. And I'm just gonna start smudging this along my lash line. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take my finger and go into the shade Side to Side. This is the Super Shock Shadow. This Super Shock Shadow shade. I'm just gonna take it again, like I said, on my finger, and I'm just gonna start pressing it wherever there is the blank space that I left. I feel like this shade is very much, I don't know, more of like glittery than color payoff, if that makes sense. I feel like the color undertone of it is very subtle. It's the glitters that really come through. So I'm just building it up just a little bit, just to really kind of get, hopefully, a little bit more of the actual color to come through. And then I'm just taking a clean blending brush, and I'm just gonna kind of brush those edges a little bit. I think I may take a little blending brush and go into the lightest pink shade right here, into Dream Maker, just to kind of help blend the edges a little bit more so it doesn't look super harsh. But I also don't want to like move the glitter around a whole lot. I just want it to look a little bit more seamless. If any of that makes sense. I think that I'm gonna try the glitter with a brush just to see how it works. Mostly just get like a little bit of glitter on there. I wonder if I spray my brush. I'm gonna try spraying my brush just to see if any of the glitters will stick to it. I'm going in with Prima Drama. It is pretty like loose in there. I didn't get a whole lot of the glitter on the brush, just a little bit. It is a very chunky, glittery type of formula. I feel like there are very big chunks of glitter in here. You can see the difference from one side to the other. Obviously, this one looks way more shimmery and shiny. I'm just kind of laying this on top of the other shade that we put down just to give it a little bit more something something. I'm also not seeing a ton of fallout, which is nice. Obviously, glitter, you're gonna have a little bit here and there, but it's not a lot. But I am seeing a little bit of shiny, shimmery on the undersides of my eyes. Like I said, nothing terrible. So I want to go through some of the application tips on this. It says for the Super Shock Shadow shade, it says best application apply using fingertips. So that's what I did. For the pressed glitter, it says apply with fingertips using tapping motions or with our small medium shader brushes for a more precise application. So basically did the exact thing that it told me to do. So far, I think this is really, really pretty. I really like it. I'd say the side to side shade doesn't have like a very good color undertone, if that makes sense. It's a very sheer, kind of more shimmery shade. It does look pretty all over the lid, but when I'm looking for some metallic shades, I like to go in with something that has a little bit more of a color undertone, not just something that looks like I just have like glitter on my eyes. I think that the pressed glitter shade is also really pretty, just layered on top of that. Just gives you a little bit more oomph to your look. So I do like the palette so far. I am going to wipe away as much of the glitter as I possibly can. I don't have a ton of it on my face, but there's a little bit there. There's a little something there. So I'm gonna go ahead, wipe it all off. I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and I will come back to apply the blush. Okay, face is done. I used the Bare Minerals Invisible Bronzer, so I used that on my face. I used the Natasha Denona All Over Glow as my highlight that's going on right now. Use the Bare Minerals Stick Foundation, some Maybelline concealer, and there you go. That gives me this look we got going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my eyes. I am going to take the Morphe M506. I'm gonna go into Work It. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this. Oh shoot. Oh. Okay, well I dropped my palette, but luckily they only popped out of the pans and nothing broke, so we're good. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this and run it along my lower lash line. And then I'm gonna go into West Side again with the same brush. And I'm just gonna start building my lower lash line up. Okay, and still the same brush. I just want to give it that little bit of corally touch to it. I'm gonna go in with Meadow. And then I'm gonna go back in to the palette and I'm gonna grab Feel Free. Again, just the darkest shade, using that same flat to finer brush, and I'm gonna push this up against my lower lash line. Okay, of course I didn't press record again because I'm an idiot, but I went in with side to side for the inner corners and a little bit under the brow bone. I just feel like this Super Shock shadow is just very glittery. I feel like there's not, like I said, not a lot of base to it. I just feel like it's glitter, honestly. Just more fine glitter than the actual pressed glitter shades. It doesn't really work as a eyebrow highlight because it just kind of looks like there's glitter under my eyebrows, but oh well. Okay, I'm just curling my lashes and then throwing on some mascara. Okay, so moving on to blush. I'm gonna try taking my Morphe E4 and just dabbing on in here. And I'm just gonna start from back here and work my way forward. This shade is really, really pretty. It's just very subtle, just a very, I don't know, subtly pinky shade. I really like it. You should look like you got a little bit of something on your cheeks, but nothing like too crazy. So I like that shade actually quite a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the Spring Roll lipstick. My lips are so uber dry right now. I don't know why. So hopefully this doesn't look too bad. Go ahead and apply this. You know me, I prefer putting lipstick on, not by like swiping. I like a more muted lipstick. So just kind of dabbing it on like this. I really like this color. It's just a very like nudie, corally kind of color. It's not super in your face coral, but it does have that coral hint to it. Very springy and very fun. I actually really like this. Definitely for my warmer tone looks. I feel like this is going to be a shade I'm going to reach for a lot. I also picked up, this isn't a part of the collection, but I also picked up the Colourpop So Juicy Plumping Gloss. This one is in Roundabout. I'm just going to throw this on top because I love me a glossy lip, and I feel like these don't change the shade a whole lot. Okay, you guys, so this is the finished look. Overall, I actually really like this palette. I just love the corally matte shades in here. I think they're really pretty. I definitely want to try the more shimmery metallic shades that are of their normal formula. I think that they're really pretty, so it's definitely something I'm gonna have to dive into. The glitter is really pretty. It just gives that extra little oomph to your look. I think next time I want to try going in with the glitter glue, kind of tapping that on first and then putting the glitter down, just to give that extra little assurance that it's going to stay in place. The Super Shock Shadow shade honestly isn't my favorite. I wish that it had just a little bit more pigmentation behind it so that it didn't look just like glitter, because I kind of feel like that's all it looks like. It kind of looks like shimmery glitter on your lids. Doesn't, like I said, doesn't give a lot of color behind it, but other than that, I love it. I mean, this palette, just for the matte shades, honestly, is kind of enough for me. I just really like the corally, mustardy kind of shades in here. They're just my favorite. So for me personally, I absolutely love this. I feel like it's going to be a palette that I use quite a lot, and in my everydayness, even just smoking a corally shadow on my lid, maybe going in with the darker shade around my lashes, just something like that, just for an everyday kind of look. Totally worth it to me. The blush I think is super pretty. Again, this is in Count Me In, and I absolutely love this blush color. Super subtle, but really pretty. I just feel like it gives me that little kick of pink on my cheeks. So, and then as for the lipstick, again, I really like this shade, a good nude springy time color. So I'm really excited to wear that more often as well. So if you haven't checked out this collection yet, I would highly recommend it. Again, I feel like all the products that I use are really pretty, easy to work with, and they're just gorgeous springtime fun colors that, I don't know, I think everybody should have. So I'll have everything linked in the description box below if you want to check those products out. Let me know what your thoughts are on the collection in the comments down below. I'd love to hear if you picked up the eyeshadow palette or any of the other items from the collection. Let me know in the comments down below how you like them. I didn't pick up any of the Jelly Mutt shadows. That's one thing I've been kind of having my eye on, debating on whether or not to pick any up. If you have picked some up, again, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are of them. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Definitely subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time. Bye.